What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Big Play Slay here, coming back with another video. And in today's video, we'll be breaking down two players that played at the same state in Michigan. They're both defensive players. We're just gonna be breaking them down. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I put a lot of time and effort into this video, and both these players did well last year. But we'll see how you guys think of this video. But let's just begin with their stats. Aidan Hutchinson had 14 sacks last year, 16.5 tackles for loss. And I'm not the biggest Aidan Hutchinson guy. I'll be the first to admit it. But what you have to understand is, though, just to give him his flowers, he played good last year. And like I said before, he didn't play good the years before. And that's one thing I'll say about him when I get to him later, about his positives and his weaknesses. But Aidan Hutchinson did really play well last year. And I'm not going to take anything away from the guy. He did play well last year. And I'm not just going to prey on a man's downfall, because I feel like that's kind of messed up in a way. And I hope he succeeds in the NFL. It's just I got a different outlook on him. And if anyone has a different outlook on him, please share your thoughts, because I'd love to talk with you guys about Aidan Hutchinson or a different player in this draft. But let's just get to David Ojabo. He had 11 sacks last year. He had 12 tackles for loss last year. Dude played absolutely phenomenal. And one thing I give this guy a lot of respect for is he's played this game so short. So it's like he's playing he's only like a year or two removed for just actually just starting. This was his first year starting, and he played really well. He showed a lot of potential, and I'm happy for this guy, man. I really wanted Philadelphia to take him because I thought he was going to be that next good defensive end for us. I really like his talent. I like his potential. He's got a lot of poise, and then it's like, when you look at the player, he went to a right organization, and we'll talk about that later when it comes down to organizations. Which player went to the better organization, which shouldn't be a question, but we'll get to that later. So, positives for Aidan Hutchinson. He's athletic, he's strong, he's got a lot of muscle, and he's good on that first step. But one thing I will say is, though, he's just not it's like the area with his pass rush moves. He's limited in that area. He's inconsistent. What I was saying earlier was inconsistency. So he played bad the years before, when he actually started here and there. But that last year was his full year actually starting. And let's be honest, the only reason he did so well was because David Ojabo was next to him. And I like how people say Aidan Hutchinson opened up the door for Ojabo, but Ojabo was the one taking double teams, not Aidan Hutchinson. Last I checked, Aidan Hutchinson was barely beating a Wisconsin tackle or a Nebraska tackle, and he was just trying to use his strength and his bulkiness just to move him out the way, man. That's not going to work. Trent Williams himself said that won't work on him, that little swing move that he does. And I understand that's probably the best left tackle in the NFL, in my opinion. But you have to understand something. It's just when a player sees something in you in the NFL that actually plays professionally and plays really good defensive ends in this league, says that you're just not as good and will never be as good as just those top tier notch defensive ends, then it makes me think of you at some type of way as a player. And then it's I'm not just gonna go off of what just Trent Williams says solely, but I don't think he's a good player. I think he's gonna be an okay player. I'm not gonna say he's not gonna be an okay player, because he has good athleticism, he has good size. He'll be one of those I guess I don't even know about Chris Long, to be honest. In my eyes, I think he's a Walmart version of Max Crosby. And that's no disrespect to Aidan Hutchinson. I just don't think he's as polished yet. But let's move to David Ojabo. And I can say the same thing about Ojabo. He's not as polished yet, but I think he has more potential and a higher ceiling than Aidan Hutchinson. And a lot of people can agree with me on that. So when I look at David Ojabo, he has really good speed. That's one thing that you notice. He can get off that line he's just coming at you, man. Pause. But when it comes down to it, the dude is just a playmaker defensively. And I'll give this guy credit. He gave a lot of room for Aidan Hutchinson to get his sacks and stuff like that. And I think if you take away Ojabo, I don't think Hutchinson has 14 sacks. So one thing that I like about this guy is his length, the way he really sets the edge for Hutchinson, or the way he bends the edge, and he's just so athletic. The only bad problems about him is his bull rushing, and he's not the strongest puncher user with his hands to grip on the lineman and just cause hell and stuff like that. But he has a lot of development. Both players have a lot of development to do. It's just that I think David Ojabo's ceiling and potential is just at a higher rate than Aidan Hutchinson. And that's no disrespect to Aidan Hutchinson. You just got to show me and prove it to me that you can be that good, But when it comes down to it, though, my pro comparison for him right now, just speaking off just the way he plays, is Brian Burns. And I love Brian Burns, man. That's one of I think he might be my favorite defensive player in the NFL besides Darius Slay. And I really like Brian Burns. I feel like that's a good comparison for him right now. But if I had to say potential-wise, I could see him being like a Robert Quinn, man. Just based off his potential, but that's a lot to say, man. Robert Quinn's a really good player, but when it comes down to it for situations based, I think Aidan Hutchinson just didn't go to the right spot. I understand that he went to his hometown team, and he's getting to play with or getting coached up by a guy like Dan Campbell. And I respect Dan Campbell, the guy, the leader that he is. I think he brings a lot of fire and energy to that room over there in Detroit. And, maybe they seen something that I didn't see. They just evaluated it different. But I just don't know, man. It's with his inconsistency, lack of, just consistently being good. He played bad in the Maryland game, looked non-existent in the Georgia game, where he could have done a lot just to prove himself against a really good school. Just didn't look the right play. He didn't look at all of the right player, and he just didn't look like himself, and you could tell through that game. But when you look at it, there were games last year where Ojabo kind of carried Hutchinson, and he took double teams and let Aidan Hutchinson get a sack, and opened up room for him to get a sack, while Aidan Hutchinson is on the other side, can barely beat one offensive tackle and get off that line and just use his actual speed instead of just his strength. And I don't got anything against bull rushers, but at least use your speed to your advantage too. That's why I say this guy will never be like Nick Bosa and Joey Bosa. And I want to be I just really want this to be known. Just because he's white, he wears number 97, and he played in the Big Ten, doesn't make him Nick Bosa or Joey Bosa esque, But and that's just my opinion, rightfully speaking, and rightfully said. But let's go to David Ojabo. He went to the Ravens. This is just a perfect landing spot for him. And I'll be honest, man, the Ravens had one of the best drafts in the class this year. They had probably the best draft this year, arguably. And, you look at a guy like David Ojabo, right? This year he's not going to be playing due to the fact that he tore his Achilles, I think. And when it comes down to it, man, whenever he comes back, off this injury, I think this dude is going to come back with vengeance. And he really wants to showcase and prove to himself why he should have been picked ahead of a guy like Aidan Hutchinson, and why Aidan Hutchinson shouldn't have been picked so high. But me personally, I just personally feel like there were times where David Ojabo really, set the edge, bended the edge, and just showed and proved to himself why he was that guy at Michigan defensively, and it wasn't really all Aidan Hutchinson. He looked non-existent in Maryland, and I'm speaking of Aidan Hutchinson, but when it comes down to it, Ojabo's got more potential, a higher ceiling. I can't wait to see what he does with Baltimore. And he went to a perfect landing spot, man. I hope Baltimore takes care of him for this specific season because, RIP Jalen Ferguson, man. Short career, man. And, you look at what he did. This could have been his year, but you just look at the guy, man. You don't want to talk about his career. You want to look at his life. RIP to Jalen Ferguson. I just got to make that be known. So, Hutchins, and you look at Ojabo, he's going into that lineup. Houston, Travis Jones, they got a lot of talent, man. But I'm going to end this video off right here. Let me know what you guys think, but y'all have a safe and blessed day.